So, so what I'm teaching you there is trying to get you to understand that when you start down, the more you sway your hips, the sooner you're going to get into right side bend. So your right shoulder gets lower, your right hip gets lower, and then by the time you come down and the club is horizontal, we call that P6, we want the right shoulder a little bit lower than the left, the right hip a little bit lower than the left, and that angle, that sway with this is why the pelvis sway is so important coming down. We need that pelvis swaying over your front foot by impact, you know, at least 90% by impact. And the more the pelvis sways, the sooner you get into right, because then the pelvis is swaying more than the chest. That changes the spine angle. That gets the right shoulder lower sooner, right? And you want to do that without moving your head back. That's the key bit. It's the pelvis moving forward, not the head moving back. Because you could cheat and just, you know, if you haven't got enough pelvis sway, you could kind of move your head back and still get into right side bend. Right. But then that puts too much mass over your back foot and you stay on your back foot, you're going to bottom out before the ball, so that affects your low point control. So it's all about hip sway coming down, changes the spine angle, gets the right shoulder lower, the right hip lower, and then what that does, when the right shoulder and right hip get lower, it acts like a pulley system which pulls your hands further round on the arm. And you're going to see all the pros with particularly their left hand and the butt of the club over their right thigh when the club's horizontal, they're a P6. And then that virtually ensures your hands get under your left shoulder at impact with the shaft leaning forward so you can hit down on it and get the divot after the ball. Does that make sense? Yeah. So what you're doing is you're making a better backswing, but you weren't swaying your hips forward enough, so therefore you were kind of coming down and your chest was staying over your pelvis, which keeps you in left side bend, and your hands stay back here, right? So how do we get the hands forward? We go from left side bend to right side bend. So watch my shoulders now, and then watch where my hands go. So it's all about hip sway, which dictates the side bend, which dictates the pulling of the handle, right?